April, a Taylor County jury found Constance Dean guilty of killing her husband, Frederick Dean, in 2017. The 61-year-old is now serving life without parole, but new information about a juror could get her a new trial.
Maggie Fitzgerald joins us in studio to take us through the complicated twists and turns in this case.
Frank Laurie, Constance Dean's family started calling for a retrial as soon as she was found guilty. The district attorney says she shot her husband Frederick, but her family questions some of the evidence and they say they think Frederick committed suicide. Now her lawyer argues that one juror's statement after the verdict proved she was biased before the trial even began. This could lead to a retrial, but only if the judge finds the jury was tainted.
Constance and Dean had been married like 13 years. They really loved each other. They traveled all the time.
He was so proud of her and she was so proud of him.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think they needed each other.
They did.
Each provided what the other one needed.
Yeah.
Constance and Frederick Dean of Butler lived in the home they built together when they married in 2002. Frederick, who also goes by Dean, was a former corrections officer and deacon. Constance, a primary school teacher, just months away from retirement. Both volunteered at their church and stayed active in the community. But on the night of September 12, 2017, Constance's family says she got a strange text from her husband.
It said, "Don't come back to the house. I'm sorry if I ever did anything that hurt you."
Constance says she returned home to find Frederick bleeding on the steps to the second floor. Her family says she called 911 and tried to give him CPR, but Frederick died at their home.
Because of the text she received, we just believed it was a suicide.
The defense was not that someone else did it. And the reason that becomes important is the nature of the wounds in the case.
An autopsy ruled that Frederick's 4 gunshot wounds were not self-inflicted. District Attorney Don Kelly says suicides involving multiple gunshots are rare.
Multiple gunshots is a very small percentage of suicides. And where there are multiple, it's almost always 2, not 4. It would be the most unusual suicide we've ever had. Mr. Dean would have shot himself 4 times, never put the gun to his body, and at one time missed so badly he shot himself through the arm.
Investigators called Frederick's death a homicide. GBI agents arrested Constance Dean on October 6, 2017, and charged her with murdering her husband. A Taylor County jury convicted her in April. Now, Constance's family and her legal team are calling for a retrial.
We feel as a family that every step of the way, the people who are supposed to be seeking the truth or seeking to validate their own egos or their own conclusions, and they were not seeking the truth in this case.
They say the jury did not consider all the evidence. They say the only DNA found on the gun was Frederick Dean's. And her lawyer also argued that Frederick's wounds did not match the prosecutor's story, that Constance shot him from the bottom of the steps.
It has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's so much doubt threaded through the entire trial.
But a new development has since come to light, involving a juror. Constance's former attorney Dennis Scheib published an open letter to the jury after the verdict. Scheib says someone told him they heard a juror admit they knew all about the case before the trial.
Brittany had verbalized to her, Brittany, already had her mind made up before the court case even started because she knew so many of law enforcement personnel and first responders on the scene.
You can't go back except in very limited circumstances. And usually that involves either communication during the time the jury is considering and hearing the case. The only question is whether Mr. Scheib can call the juror as a witness in the motion for new trial.
After an October 15th hearing, the judge will decide whether to order a retrial and whether the juror will be called to testify.
If a juror already has their mind made up, then she did not receive a fair trial. And that's why we're fighting.
Constance's attorney Dennis Scheib filed a motion to compel the juror to testify under oath. The judge agreed and ordered her and other witnesses to appear in court on October 1st. That original hearing was postponed to next week on October 15th. We'll be at that hearing and will report on what happens there. Back to you.
Constance Dean is currently serving a life sentence with possible parole in Pulaski State Prison.